Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Juggernaut, and today I have something rather interesting for you, at least in terms of the content on this channel, something unusual, I would say. I'm going to spend the next 40 to 45 minutes-ish talking to a good friend of mine that I've known for many years called Kayej. He's from Slovenia, and he is an expert in Victoria-related things. That is, Victoria the Paradox Grand Strategy game, right? At least that's sort of how I see him. He was always big into economics, from what I understand, and these games are sort of his thing. I know he played a ton of Victoria 2. I'm not sure how much Victoria 3 he played, but well, we're about to find out, and I'm about to talk to him because I have no idea how to play Victoria 3. Nor Victoria 2. The economics of the game are mostly lost on me. I've seen about 3 or 4 YouTube tutorials trying to explain the game to me, and some things I understand, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm going into this blind, but I have so many questions, and what I figured is that if I have a lot of questions and don't understand a lot about the game, so do probably a lot of other people. Now, I don't claim to be the smartest person in the room, but, you know, like PhD, literature, university work, played games all my life, etc., etc. All I'm saying is I'm not the dumbest person ever, and I like to think that I'm decent at most Paradox games. I've played CK2 to death, I've played Hearts of Iron to a reasonable extent to where I understand the fundamentals of the game, or actually I understand, like, all of the mechanics in the actual game. I've played EU4 an alright amount, enough to, again, understand all of the underlying mechanics in the engine and everything. But with Victoria 2, I've never played it, and now there's Victoria 3, and I've never played that either, and I just don't understand what most of the things mean. Like, what is authority? What is bureaucracy? Not the concepts, but, like, the points in the game, you'll see in a minute. And so I watched a few tutorials to try and figure the basics out, but I had a lot of questions left, and I figured, why not get an expert over, or at least relatively speaking, compared to me, and ask him those questions, and post the video for you guys, because you might find it moderately entertaining and informative as well. And that's how we got here. So, that's about it. This is going to be the video. Enjoy.
And that's fine.
I have not, yes, that is correct. I have not played much.
I'm a newbie at Vic 3, which means I only have a couple hundred hours under my belt.
Right.
As is the case with Paradox games, right?
Of course.
So, looking at the map right now, yeah, like, I've never played a game that didn't use the default start. I've never converted an EU4 game. I imagine there's no official converter, right? This is some mod or fan-made converter?
It's a fan-made converter, yeah.
Alright, so...
Although, to be fair, it works better than most official Paradox converters, but disregard, go on.
Okay, so I'm seeing that you're dealing with famines. For the record, in 1836, famines in certain states, especially certain underdeveloped states, and encore states, like what I imagine the case is with India, where you seem to just own northern India, are not that uncommon. Where are the famines going? Can you click on the little icon?
Yeah, so before I do that, this is the whole idea with this save file is to get every core and claim that the Russian Republic gets if you form it as Novgorod from EU4, and go down all of the missions in EU4. So if you go down all the missions, this is all the claims you get. Plus, I own, like, the Suez area, so the Sinai Peninsula, this and this. That was just from a random war against Venice that I needed to control this for naval access, which I now understand that the Suez is gone, which is pretty funny, because in EU4 you can actually build the Suez Canal, but once you port it over, the Suez is gone. So in like the month it took to convert from one to the other, I guess we buried the Suez Canal, which is pretty funny. But other than that, I have a vassal in the shape of my homeland. And I also have some colonies over here with, like, Alaska, Russian Texas, of all things, which is hilarious, California, and Russian Cuba. So I assume these are going to be important later if I ask something about the market or whatever. But that's sort of that's the setting, let's just say.
You have a power block. Can you click on the power? I guess no power blocks are formed at the beginning.
I do. I have the Russian Convention power block, which is
made.
made.
Did you form that, or was that preformed?
This is, as you can see, it's January 9th, 1836. I have not played anything, I have not clicked anything, so this is just preformed as a part of the converter, and it's just me, my colonies, and my vassals, and that's about it.
Okay, so since it's a trade league, there are several different kinds of power blocks. The trade
Right.
league is unique in that it by default unifies your market. So I imagine if you scroll a little bit to the right, you'll see that your colonies are part of the Russian market. If you click on the markets tab on the left.
Yes, they are. I have noticed this indeed.
No, that's
Yes.
part of the power block. To check your market, you click the little box icon on the left.
Right.
And you go to the left a little bit. Sorry, to the right a little bit. To the right on the map. Right on the map. Just move right. Yes, they're part of the Russian market. Some areas don't have great market access. That's down to poor infrastructure. That can be solved later down the line.
Right.
Access is the percentage you see on the list right now, and you can see Bengal, Agra, and West Bengal. So these, I imagine, are non-core areas that have insufficient infrastructure because they have huge populations and so forth. Yes, there's a massive infrastructure deficit.
Right. Yeah, I'm seeing that as well.
Market access, which means that I think the way it works is it limits the amount of goods that can be shipped around at the market price to those areas. So locally produced goods will be relatively more cheap, and goods produced outside that state will be relatively more expensive. You can increase infrastructure primarily through building railways. You don't have the technology for that yet, I imagine. So at this point, you could still increase it using building ports.
Right.
Somewhat recently, there was an issue where capitalists would extensively invest in those and fail to invest in sort of actual productive capacities, especially if you conquered areas that had very low market access because are these incorporated states? No, they're still incorporating. And
Yes, they are incorporating, which is a bit frustrating because everything was cored and most of it was my culture in EU4, but converting over it just uncored a bunch of states. Although, like, these parts over here, like Afghanistan and Kazakhstan and stuff like that, stayed cored. Most of Anatolia stayed cored as well, but then Greece didn't, which was
again I don't know. I don't
kind
know
of
what
weird.
the mechanics of the converter are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to paint you a picture of what's cored and what's not. So,
Well,
yeah.
I imagine we'll be dealing with, in a very historically apt sense, a famine in Bengal. That's almost unavoidable with that level of market access in a non-cored state. So what's the one state that has a famine? These things happen. Oh, it's up somewhere in fucking Siberia. Yeah, of course. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to nobody's surprise.
Famine is not the issue here. That stuff just happens. It's Siberia. The main things you want to focus on are your goods shortages. So you have
Right.
a ammunition shortage. That probably means you're using skirmish infantry. Skirmish infantry uses ammunition. Russia in the 36 star date, I believe, starts out using line infantry, which does not use ammunition. They just use, I think it's light arms or whatever it's called in this game. And,
Right.
So you're already the number one producer worldwide of ammunition, and if you see,
Here's the thing. I believe that nobody is producing ammunition. I think that's why I'm the number one producer in the world.
the world market got a bit fucked because France, Britain, they were all producing, or at least I know Britain for a fact was producing ammunition in the default start date.
Yeah, now they have to sort of build up from nothing.
To avoid a shortage, is you want to have your supply equal to at least half of your demand. And that's
Half of my demand.
Yes,
Okay.
at that point the good will be expensive, but not technically considered in a shortage. When you have a shortage, the military units that use that good will fight at reduced capacity, ever reducing. I'm not exactly sure how, in terms of the military mechanics, that is applied. And the buildings that use that good as an input good will essentially work at reduced efficiency, hopefully reducing demand for that good and dealing and canceling out the issue. Now, your only thing that demands ammunition, as per your if you click on the ammunition icon up top over there,
Right.
is your barracks. Now, your barracks have a demand for 154 units of ammunition, and apparently the only ammunition plant in the world is producing 9 units. There's a single munition plant in, well, cover over the number. Okay.
Oh, there's 2.
Kyiv, Courland, and Kazan. So there's 3. One way to deal with this in the immediate would be to build more munitions plants, though I will remind you that the munitions is also being purchased by the state. So the goods for the barracks are being purchased by the state, which means that the purchase of munitions goes directly from your budget. And judging by the top screen, which shows your administrative capacity, your authority, your diplomatic points, your convoys, and your money, your budget is fucked. You have some gold reserves, but those are being burnt ridiculously quickly. I think by my math, you don't have 2 years worth of gold reserves at your current expenditure.
Right. Yes.
And if you look at your current expenditure, you are spending 700. You are spending the vast majority of your expenditure on goods for government buildings. Now, if you hover over the 762K you're spending on government buildings, you'll notice that, okay, the vast majority of that is being spent on paper. So you have a lot of government administration buildings.
I'm sorry, it's really funny that all of the money that this massive, ludicrously, impossibly large republic produces is being spent on bureaucracy and paper. From freaking, like, the outskirts of Berlin to bloody, well, okay, these are independent colonies, to like Yakutsk, Russia, everything is being spent on paper. That is really funny.
All right. So, in terms of your expenditure on paper, the majority is going towards government administration buildings. You want to check the production method those government administration buildings are running, because and also you seem to have a absolutely fucking enormous surplus of administrative capacity, plus 24,000. That is late game levels of excess administrative capacity. So you want to do 2 things here. One, you want to probably downgrade the production method, or just straight up downsize the government administration in areas that have 100% or more tax collection efficiency. So if you go to your buildings tab, that's the little factory under and you scroll all the way down, and there should be there will be a big number next to government administration. Scroll up. Oh, goodness, that's a lot of subsistence farms. 840 units of government administration, and they're all on like tier 3 fucking input methods. That's why you're spending so much on paper. Holy shit. Okay, so why is there 244 units of government administration in Agra?
Don't yell at me. I didn't do any of this.
Yeah, for the record, what's the population of Agra? Just humor me.
The population of Agra is probably around 244. I'm just kidding. Where is it? It's somewhere in Greece, right? It's Agra population. Is that the no? That's not the population. Workforce.
There's a little arrow to the right, higher up. Yeah, where's Agra? Just go there. Go to Agra. It's in India.
Oh, I thought it sounded Greek. Okay, let me just where
the little signpost next to the X at the very top.
Right. I can pin it.
No, yeah.
Oh, that's zoom to. Okay, got it. Right.
In like.
Oh God.
In India, first of all, it seems that the majority of the population is Russian, which is funny. But approximately, by my count, 1% of everyone there works for the government administration, and by that I mean women, children, everyone.
Right.
What's your taxation capacity? Yeah, so you could, reasonably speaking, is this a core state? Yeah, it's an incorporated state. Okay.
Yes.
You could, reasonably speaking, downsize about 100 units of government administration in Agra alone and suffer nothing for it.
Jesus Christ. Okay, that's this and just the minus key, right?
I think you shift click that.
A control click will be faster because it's minus 10, but yeah. So let's go down to like 104.
There'll be a bit of a tax deficit now, but you will have saved a fair bit of money. That should have helped a little bit. In fact, your budget has recovered substantially from
that is half the budget.
Realistically, the standard of living should also drop substantially. given that there's now 100,000 more unemployed pops in this state, give or take.
Right.
I'm sure they'll go into subsistence farming or something eventually. But basically, yeah, the converter definitely got your. The converter definitely got your work cut out for you because you basically have to go through your government administration, see where they are over capacity, and start downsizing.
Okay, that's not too difficult to do. It's a couple of things that aren't quite clear to me. So, when it comes to purchasing and selling goods, I understand how it would work, for example, in the world market. So, let's say the Russian Republic produces 5 fish. I'm just going to use small numbers because, like, Jesus Christ. And, like, France wants to buy 1, and Great Britain wants to buy 1, and I sell them, and etc., trade routes, and so on and so forth. I understand that part.
I'm not super familiar because the world market got reworked in the second to most recent update. Before there was no world market, there were simply trade routes between different countries.
Yeah, now I think it's all just interconnected, and you don't set up a specific trade route. It just sort of gets placed on the quote-unquote global market, and then anyone can buy it. I think that's how it works from what little I've been reading into this.
Victoria 2 mechanics, I still think there's like technical limitations with like trade capacity and trade centers and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, of course. But like it's not a manual thing of like I'm going to click on fish and sell 5 fish to Great Britain. Now it sort of sorts itself out as best it can, and you sort of handle the infrastructure. At least that's my understanding. By the way, Birmingham is a slave state. Just saying. Just saying. And so is Cambridge.
Technically accurate, given the state of Britain today. But
and so is London. Fascinating. What about Edinburgh? All of Great Britain is one giant slave state. Fascinating. All right.
But where is that? There a tiny bit of Denmark in Denmark.
It's not a tiny bit of Denmark. It's a banking clan that works in the service of the Russian Republic. Don't ask me. It's an EU4 thing.
All right.
So you could create like a small independent country of one province, and it's literally just a bank in EU4. And every time your ruler changes, you get to talk to the bank, and they give you various benefits like better interests or extra diplomatic relations, or you can siphon some money from the bank. Basically, it's like it was just a thing, and yeah.
All right, it's like Luxembourg. Cool. Anyway,
essentially, yeah.
The point I wanted to make was. You can manually set up trade routes, and sometimes you should. So, with the current,
can I in this version of the game? Because I.
Yes, okay, so you go to the market tab.
Okay.
And you click on a good you have. You're under food security. Go to goods.
Right.
And you click on a good you have a deficit of. Just sort them by price ratio. Yeah. So you see how you have a shortage of hardwood, which, again, I'm fairly sure you could just fix by changing the production methods on your lumber mills. At least you should start with a bunch of lumber mills.
So just clarify. Plus means I have a shortage. Minus means I have an excess of, or do not need.
Relative market price relative to the base price. So right now you're producing an absurd amount of steel that you could be exporting. You're producing a very all the stuff there. Anyway, if you go to the stuff that you have a shortage of, for the record, if it's plus 75, you don't necessarily have a shortage. Like coffee is not in a shortage. It's just very high price because you're not really producing it.
Right, but does the balance thing then indicate shortage and
you
like this?
You presently have a deficit of paper because of the fucking government administration.
Right. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like this will indicate what is in short supply and what is not.
Well, if you click on paper, just click on paper.
Right.
One second. You used to be able to set up an import route through here.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure that they've done away with that from what I've seen. Like, I've watched a couple of tutorials, and there were a few explaining trade routes, and all of the UI elements that are needed for a trade route seem to be gone. Like, there was a trade route button here, next to the military stuff, and there was a trade button somewhere around here as well.
All right, in that case, my knowledge is outdated. What you can do, I remember doing this in the few games I've played since these updates, is you can your tariffs and subventions. You can probably abolish import tariffs, especially if it's a good. You're already the number one producer of paper, and you're still in a deficit. So even if after you've downsized your government administrations, you still end up in a paper shortage. It's okay to at least abolish your import tariffs, which you're currently running. It's also sensible to if you. So right now you're not really losing a lot of your paper to trade orders. But if there was a high price for something because you were exporting it, which again, unlikely because then it would be a high price on the world market as well, you also set export tariffs. So what I often do is I actually set export tariffs on industrial input goods like coal or especially steel, tools, and glass in some cases to keep the cost of those goods low because those goods are purchased by the government for construction sectors. That's going to be a major source of your deficit. Right now, you're not building anything, like it says. Not. Oh, you are building something in the construction.
I've queued up a few things. Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, the construction goods make up a very substantial portion of the government expenditures. So you want to keep the cost of those goods low through export tariffs and potentially even subventions on imports. Though that is a double-edged sword because you're also essentially negating the possibility of a domestic industry producing those things emerging.
Right. Quick question before we move on. So we're talking about the price of goods, and I understand that's most of Victoria 3, but my question is, let's say let's take paper for example, because it's ridiculous enough to be funny. So I am currently lacking, like 2,000 something paper, right? Because I'm selling 5,000, which I'm assuming comes from me, and then I need to buy 7.8 thousand, which is the deficit that I have.
For government administrations, yes.
Right, but that's the deficit I have. So here's the thing: these sell orders and these buy orders, disregarding the outside factors, meaning like other independent countries around the world.
Yeah.
Does it actually spend money to sell paper from, I don't know, from wherever, Samara to Irkutsk and back? Does it actually use money, or is it just a sort of moving paper from one end to the other without any sort of actual money expenditure?
Buying the paper, in this case, that is the government administration building, will take money directly from the state budget because it is a state building.
Right.
And transfer that money to the paper mill it is buying from. That paper mill will then put that money into its own savings or distribute dividends and wages to the workers and the owners of that paper mill. If those are paid in wages, then those pops will use that on goods that they use, and eventually, if they have a high standard of living, they'll have more prosperous lives. In the case of upfront paid to the owners, and those pops will often build additional ones of those buildings. They will contribute into the investment pool based on the investment pool contribution efficiency, and then that will be used to build more buildings, usually ones that will be profitable based on a cost-benefit calculation.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. So I did not know that. I thought that money-wise, in terms of the actual, this is a pound, but I'm assuming the world is using rubles at this point. Anyways, I thought the money thing was only for external trade, and that internally it was just sort of done by moving one from the other. But now there's internal money mechanics, if that makes sense, as to what I'm saying. Right, I understand.
So consistent that money that you are paying in interest on your government debt is paid to the holders of that government debt, which can be pops in your country. Or in other countries in some cases. So
right,
money is in fact the lifeblood of Victoria 3 as a game, and that's something you should definitely sort of keep an eye on. In fact, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's modeled. A pop's wealth and a pop's level of income will determine also things like the amount of political power it has, and if you really want to achieve, to sort of like actually go to some of the Marxist influences on Victoria III. If you want to sort of pass certain reforms, like the welfare state or whatever, you would first probably have to create a bourgeois class that can implement the necessary reforms for the creation of a working class. So right now, most of your population is employed in subsistence farms and are not particularly politically engaged. As workers emerge in factories, their political alignment will by default move more towards trade unions, and then their sort of increasing wealth through higher wages and living standards will contribute to a more powerful trade union political group. So the point that I'm trying to make is it's very difficult to rush certain things in Victoria 3.
Yeah, I've figured that, like, based on the tutorials and stuff.
The way to disempower the aristocratic class is often through basically industrialization, where the industrialists and the petit bourgeoisie, and in some cases the trade unions, will become more wealthy as factories basically take on the major contribution to GDP away from agriculture that is owned by the aristocracy, and it becomes easier to pass those reforms as the landed gentry become less of a relevant political factor. Economic change supersedes political change very much in this game. That's why I like it. Right.
That's fascinating.
I'm wondering actually what laws this Russian Republic inherited from from EU4, because.
So.
All right, you've got interventionism. That's good. Anything is better than traditionalism. Agrarianism isn't great either. Elected bureaucrats, good. Autocracy, not great. Frontier colonization, okay, whatever. Local police force, probably bad if you don't want a powerful landed gentry. Property to women is bad. You want to take away women's rights because that will increase your birth rates. Tenant farmers is not great. I would recommend going down to homesteading. I mean, you have a very high population, and that small sort of increments over time. Like it definitely like exponentially increases your population. Homesteading is probably going to be favored at least by the rural folk, but opposed by the gentry assembly. The gentry assembly seems less powerful than it is in most Russia games already off the start. You don't have a lot of the laws that would boost it. Show me the political situation if you don't mind.
The political situation?
Just go to overview.
Right, just to overview.
Government, click on government. Okay, so you're already dealing with wait, go ahead. So you're only go to government. Government is like okay. Your only interest group in power is the essentially marginalized industrialists. So, and you're in a dictatorship, so you're not going to be able to use an election to get out of this. So first thing you want to do, and I think this might be fairly easy, is implement something like landed voting, or something that will allow parties to emerge, and something that will allow you to change your president through an election. Even if it means getting the gentry assembly in landowners into power, it's still preferable to an unacceptable government. It will increase the number of radicals.
That was my next question. How do I get rid of this? Because I'm not quite sure what unacceptable government means.
Unacceptable government means the industrialists are the only group in power, and they have the support of, what is it, 2-point-something%.
2%, yeah, 2% basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's what an unacceptable government is. So what you want to do is you want to go under laws, and you want to find a way to fix that. You're already a republic. You don't actually have elections, to my understanding. So you want to go to distribution of power, second one from the list.
Right.
And you want to enact something that isn't too widely opposed, and will hopefully allow you to change this. The best option is probably landed voting.
Landed voting, I was going to say.
Yeah, you have a significant opposition to it from the Orthodox Church, because I believe the Orthodox Church starts with a special trait in Russia, which is not to your benefit here at all. But fortunately, it is not opposed by the landed gentry, which I think is the only law that is not of the ones you can choose right now.
So despite it being opposed, I can still get this passed. It'll just probably take a while, right? Because from what the way I understand this is like 2% chance to succeed, 23 to stall, and then the rest of it is debate. But like it won't go into the negative, if that makes sense.
That happens back and it resets. Basically, it'll go through these relatively slow cycles because, again, the less legitimate your government is, the slower the legislative cycle. Another thing you could do is go to your government again. Let's see if you could reform right now just to get more support for this. Click reform government.
Right. Got it.
So yeah, in theory, you could just throw the landed gentry and nobody else into government. Option that's under your guy, the windmill only, purple windmill only, under your guy, under your president, under Ivan.
Right. Okay,
So
got it.
basically piss off the essentially marginalized industrialists and put the gentry assembly into power. You'll still be an unacceptable government, though if you manage to cut back enough on expenditure, you can reduce taxes to increase legitimacy slightly and make it as far as the legitimate government, and then hopefully it'll be a bit easier to pass the law. The problem is, as it stands, I think you need at least some support or a powerful movement to move to your landed voting. And the only group in power right now that supports landed voting is the industrialists. So realistically, you're probably better off using the industrialists to pass landed voting to make them obsolete for now.
Right.
That's like advanced.
Okay.
Basically, what you usually want to do is, again, it depends on what kind of society you want to build, but for optimal play, you want to mix the intelligentsia and the industrialists to create essentially a enlightened capitalist society, which with laissez-faire, I still maintain strongly that laissez-faire is by far the most powerful economic law in the game, because it has the best use of your investment pool and the highest level of construction allocation towards the private sector. What I end up having happen a lot of the time running interventionism is there is insufficient construction allocation to the private sector to effectively use the entire investment pool, while the construction cost, which is 50% of the construction pool being allocated towards government construction, will often eat up more of my budget than I would like. So,
Right.
Again, I don't know what your goal is for this mega campaign or whatever, but generally that's the optimal play. It's like late 1800s liberalism.
Right. So it was Tenant. No, it wasn't Tenant Farms. Where was the thing that I needed to pass the law?
Under the autocracy one, it's distribution of power.
Right, distribution of power. Right. Yeah. So we get landed voting. Right, and at some point that's going to happen.
The religious folk, which I think might radicalize them a little bit. I'm not sure what the actual result there would be. I think that there's going to be a movement to preserve landed voting, which will increase the stall chance. But this is your best bet. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Right.
What else are you concerned with? Because I don't have a huge amount of time, but I wanted to. If I had to give you just general advice for Victoria 3, it's industrialization is key. Industrialization is the first half of the game. Conquest is sometimes not worth it. Conquering areas to monopolize key resources is important. Companies, I suppose you have all the...
I get the feeling that with the amount of territory I hold, conquest is not really going to be, needed. I mean,
It's not a war game, it's an econ game, and...
Right.
Even consolidating your own territories and figuring like all this shit out is in itself probably going to be more than enough effort. Those Indian states, I imagine, are going to be particularly annoying to just make.
Some of them, but I think like Delhi, if I understand this right, yeah, like 79 infrastructure the thing has. Look at it, 100% market access. It is being incorporated, but I take a look at the buildings. There's a ton of people that I can employ, and there's a ton of different things that they can that I can produce here, which seems like it has potential. At least.
Large employable population is not necessarily particularly useful. It essentially means that the industrialization will stall because you will struggle to produce enough workplaces that are not subsistence farms for all those people. And that will also delay your institutional reform. Part of the reason Sweden is quite powerful in Victoria 3 is because it has a relatively small but relatively highly literate and very prosperous population, and that means that it can pass the relevant reforms quickly as the fabric of its society changes, because the amount of capital available for investment in industrialization is enough to essentially move everyone out of subsistence farms pretty quickly. By contrast, Russia, or God forbid China or India, have huge subsistence farmer populations that can always be mobilized into new factories as they're built, sure. But in some cases, especially early game, your population growth, especially with legal guardianship and certain other laws like oral and proven clergy, will actually be faster than you can build new workplaces for them. So don't consider a high population always to be a significant benefit if your goal is to industrialize your country and pass good laws that will help you do that faster.
Right. Understood. What else was there? Yeah, so given the current state of the world, and given the fact that compared to the vanilla start, there's just less of everything from what I understand. So there's fewer goods being produced, there's a bunch of farms, but other than that, there's not a lot of iron, sulfur, steel, and so on and so forth, like goods like that. Not a lot of it being produced. Is it viable for me to just, given the size of the country and everything, to just produce most of what I need locally? Because I'm pretty sure I have a mine, or at least several, for every type of metal known to mankind, and then, above and beyond that, like for most basic goods, which I have learned is a filter I can do here, yes? So, for most staple goods, I can produce them locally. Most of this stuff I can also produce locally, I think, and then for the more complex stuff, I need factories, I'm assuming, and like special buildings for that, but still,
You can. In some cases, it might even be sensible to export some of those goods as Russia, because you also have state traits that significantly increase, for instance, your lumber output and so forth.
Right.
It's not always optimal to do so. Some cases, it would take a fairly long time and a lot of investment to produce a supply chain for something which you can relatively easily import to leapfrog certain elements of industrialization.
Mm-hmm.
It's situational at best. Russia, even in its starting borders in 1836 in Victoria III, has the capacity to produce most RGOs on its own. The real struggle for it is passing the relevant institutional reforms. Your Russian Republic in this is very much ahead in terms of institutional reform, which will ease your life. You're just going to be dealing with essentially also trying to drag along the Central Asian and Northern Indian territories.
Which, credit to the converter, is kind of exactly how I imagined this, given like the EU4 game and how it went. Right? Because I started off as a republic, started off generally more liberal than, everywhere else in Europe at the time, pretty much, and then the sort of government reforms and laws that you can pass in EU4 also sort of seem to be gearing me towards this, where you have a president, but he's elected per lifetime sort of thing. That's how I ended the game, at least, and this is what it got converted into.
Like, the fact that nobody else is producing kind of indicates to me that they are far more backward than any of the economies are at the 36 star of Big Three.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yes.
You can check. You can just click on France, not a state in France. Just zoom out and click on France itself. Or just click on France.
That work?
Go to government. Oh, sorry, go to domestic. Domestic. Scroll down. They have a pro-slavery movement. Absolute monarchy. Well, at least they have interventionism. Debt slavery. That's a fascinating one. I don't think I've often seen that. Debt slavery. It is. Tenant farmers. Yeah, France is in a worse state than it usually starts in, and it seems Britain is also a slave state. What exactly is Britain? What exactly is Britain's domestic laws? Britain starts usually really good. Landed voting, okay. More debt slavery, very popular for some reason in the converter. Legal guardianship, that's nice. Yeah. I'm just helping my friend.
No. It was because either you were playing a game or playing Yahoo. It was.
Yeah, well, depends on the day of the week. Anyway. My girlfriend's here, so I'll probably have to go soon.
No,
But I just want to ask if there's anything on this. I want to say, if there's anything else that confuses you, please don't hesitate to like reach out and ask. There's a lot to unpack with Vic 3.
Right,
And
right, yeah.
tutorials online, in my experience, are not the worst. So
Yeah, I tried a few, and it helped getting sort of to understand the basics of like what I'm clicking and what it means, but there were still a few things that sort of they skip over and gloss over a bit too quickly for someone that never played Victoria 2, or anything this sort of economically focused, that it's a bit difficult to understand, because like in most other Paradox games, I see, for example, you see a famine. It's happening in Yakutsk, you click it, and there's like a remove famine button. Sometimes it's disguised as build a farm, sometimes it's disguised as, you know, whatever, spend monarchy points or whatever, but it's like a fairly simple issue to fix of just, you know, accumulate resource, spend resource to fix the problem. Here it's a lot more nuanced, I guess, and detailed.
yeah, it's very indirect. It's what I liked about it. Victoria 2 was even more indirect in many ways. The other piece of advice I will say is there's a gaming channel in my Discord server that you're in. Tag Carol Tokon in there. He is much better at Victoria 3 than I am. And I'm sure he will be able to answer your questions in text extensively as well.
All right, yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. I won't keep you any longer if you're busy and you have to go. But yeah, this was helpful, and I'll see how it goes. Just one more question before you leave. In terms of construction, I realized that I'm going to be doing a lot of that. At least that's what it seems like to me. Sure, I'm going to be downgrading a bunch of government administration, which is probably going to fix taxation as a whole.
About as much construction sectors as your budget will allow. Try not to raise taxes too high. They will lead to low legitimacy and standard of living problems and radicals, unless you just want to cause a revolution. Which is
Right. But what I didn't really understand from the tutorials is there's the construction sector building. Does this contribute to like a global pool of construction, or is it just local, or is it a mix of both?
A mix of both. It contributes to a global pool of construction, but then locally it also increases construction efficiency. As you can see, like, +2 construction is a global stat. The plus 0.2.
Right. Understood.
You want to build those in places where you intend to build a lot. Usually those are places with a high population, and especially for advanced construction methods, also places which have a population that has relevant qualifications. Usually that means you want some universities there.
Right. Okay, and then I saw potential and available companies, and I think this is hilarious because I'm pretty sure Paradox is one of them.
Don't believe Paradox is, but there's a couple of historical ones.
There are historical ones, but I think I'm not sure if it's here or if it's random. I saw like a post somewhere about it that Skoda can appear, which is that's funny. One of these had a Paradox logo. I swear to you, I'm not going insane, which was hilarious to me that like it can appear. I don't know if it's here or if it's potential or something, but one of them had a Paradox logo, which I think is a relatively new addition, which was hilarious to me. Right.
They also were a mission sponsor for Surviving Mars.
Is there anything in terms of technology that I should know? Like not in terms of
methods are enabled by the technology you're researching. Make sure you have the relevant inputs before you enable those on more buildings, and understand that certain improvements that increase the raw good inputs but decrease employment are only good if your cost of employment is high, which as Russia shouldn't be happening all too often, although they will lead to higher wages for the people working there. Don't rush too far ahead because the research times will get high. Generally stick with the tier that you're in. The tiers are
right.
lines. And early on skirmish infantry is super important. You already have that. Just make sure you have the ammunition production capacity to actually fulfill the barracks orders. And don't be afraid to downsize your army. It sounds like yours is probably well above everyone else's, which you can check by clicking on the flag.
Yes, it is. I did that. I did that prior to the thing. Yes, so my army I have one army which consists of 150
battalions.
Is that battalions? Right, 150 battalions of skirmish infantry and nothing else. Everyone else in the world, like France, I think has... I'm not quite sure where to check. I'm not really used to the UI, but I think France has about like 40 battalions. Great Britain has maybe like 20 to 30, something like that. Spain also in that sort of area, so I am like above and beyond larger than anyone else.
Person fielding skirmish infantry relative to everyone else who, if they don't have munitions plants, then they're on line infantry, which is way worse. So don't be afraid to downsize that army. It will.
This army started off with 430 battalions. It was downsized, believe me. But is there a way to move like 50 of these battalions from the first army to the second army?
Yeah, you just click the little arrows down next to the map. No, left, little arrows. Arrows on the further to the right. Arrows.
This is technically still an arrow.
Arrows passing each other. Arrows passing each other. Arrows passing each other. You were close with that one arrow.
This one, right? Yeah. Transfer military units to another army. That, to be fair, that is generally the icon for transfer stuff. Makes sense. I'm just being a bit silly. Yeah, fair enough. And then I pick the two armies that I want, and yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So I can switch like this.
I gotta go now. Look,
all right,
it was nice to talk to you. I really hope you fix your spine. That feels like the most important thing.
I will eventually. It's you know, I did pretty much everything I can for it. So we were lifting this obnoxiously heavy monstrosity of like a metal construction. Which my parents and my grandparents needed moved from one place to another, and it took like 8 people to lift the thing, and I guess I lifted it a little bit too much. Plus, like, from the scans that I did, my neck curves a little bit irregularly, like it's not supposed to. So your neck is supposed to be sort of C-shaped, like almost not C-shaped, like it's supposed to be straight with very little slight curvature that resembles the letter C, right? So it's not supposed to be like a 90-degree line, but it's supposed to be curved ever so slightly like a C. Mine curves ever so slightly in the wrong direction, and so it makes me more prone to injuring the nerves in the neck if I lift something heavy. So
I know what you mean. It's like a scoliosis and then something else.
Yeah, except like it's not scoliosis, because scoliosis is really serious and like it's a deformity of the bones and everything. This is just like a really small sort of, I'm not quite sure what to call it, but like I guess like a deformity, except deformity also means that it's a more severe case, but this is like a slight imperfection, I guess, or whatever. But it just makes you more prone to injuries like that, and it can be fixed just with like stretching and neck exercises and whatever, but the whole nerve thing is inflamed, and that takes like 6 to 9 months just to calm down, because the central nervous system is finicky, apparently, in the human body. Who'd have thunk? But yeah.
Alright. You have a good one, and best of luck with that.
Yeah,
okay?
You too, and thank you so much.
I'm not dying of sleeplessness.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the crash course and answering all my questions.
Anytime, man. Good luck. Send me the video when it's done. Bye bye.
Yep, sure thing. Take care. Bye bye.